Hey everyone, Irit here, and I have finally another art journaling process video. I used this Daniel Smith masking fluid that I picked up at my local store. They actually don't carry the Daniel Smith watercolors, but they do carry Schmincke, so it's all good. And but I did see that masking fluid, and you can see all that yucky brown on my in my art journal there. It's that masking fluid once it has completely dried. So this is like, masking fluid is like a rubber like material, and you apply it, you can apply it with a brush. But this one from Daniel Smith comes with this cute applicator, so it's really easy to apply. You can just, kind of draw with it, which was my reason for picking it up. I have regular masking fluid, and you also have to be careful because it ruins your brush. So don't use a good brush to apply it, because it'll get ruined. And I just, I can never be bothered to use the brush and then clean the brush, and I don't know, it's just one of those things that I never really enjoyed using. So the thing is about it, it's a rubber-like material that basically you apply wherever you want your paper to stay white. And once it's dry, you have to let it completely dry, and depending on the thickness of how thick you applied it, it may take somewhere between probably like half hour to, I don't know, maybe even a couple of hours if you apply it really thickly, but you shouldn't. It's a little bit of trial and error with this thing. And yeah, you have to wait for it to completely dry, because you don't want to ruin your watercolor brushes. And then you can just play, and I had the best time making this, and I didn't know how it was going to look. The tip of the Daniel Smith masking fluid, it comes completely closed, and then you have to cut off the tip. So I think I cut mine just a little bit too wide, and then my lines of masking fluid there are kind of thick, but I really like how that looks. So obviously, if you don't have masking fluid, you can use something else that would work as a resist, and something like anything oil-based, or I think even wax-based would work. So for example, like oil pastels, but not the water-soluble ones, the real oil pastels, or coloring pencils that are not watercolor pencils would also work, but then you can't remove them. So the nice thing about the masking fluid is once you're done with your watercolors and you let them dry and everything is dry, you can remove the masking fluid, which I'll do soon. I kind of have too much to say, and I'm not actually having a chance to tell you. Yeah, I'm using my Schmincke watercolor palette. It's actually, most of the colors are Schmincke, but not all of them. And I'm actually using quite a few colors. I mean, relatively few colors, and doing a lot of mixes. And I just really enjoyed it to create my own shades. And the drawing, this fast sketch, was inspired by a YouTube video that I saw of one of the Donna Downey artists' design team. I don't know, I think they have like some name, like the Artist Squad or something like that. So it's one of her artists that work with, her stencils and stuff, and that particular artist works a lot with watercolors, and she has this really fantastic stencil that she designed for Donna Downey, and Donna Downey makes it, and it has kind of these rainbows and houses, and she used the stencil in her video, and she used like a modeling paste, I think, which also creates a really interesting look with watercolor. So I'll try to remember to link you to that video, and if I forget, then remind me in the comments. So I was watching that, and I was kind of, you know, craving that stencil because it was so cute and kind of like different, like a stencil that creates a little scene. Very whimsical, very cute. But I didn't have it, so I just decided to work with what I had. And now another word of caution. Once I'm done coloring this, I will have to remove it, and if it's quite, especially I have here a lot of masking fluid, and it's a little bit kind of labor intensive to remove it. So if you have any joint issues or arthritis or anything like that, then maybe this is not for you. Maybe try a little bit and see how it works, because it takes some time and a little bit work. You'll see me, I didn't leave it all on tape, but you can see just a little bit. So you can either peel it with your hands or with like an eraser, a white eraser. Don't make sure it's clean. And I started with my fingers and then moved on to the eraser because it was just easier. But still, it took quite some time, and it's kind of messy because you get all these little shavings of these rubber masking fluid. And yeah, so if you don't like mess, then maybe think about it. Now, the really fun thing about using masking fluid in such a way is that you can really go crazy with the colors and really let watercolors do what they do best, kind of flow and mix and blend. You just drop in the colors in the, you know, areas. I also made some flowers here, and it's just beautiful. I was thinking this would be just the first stage, and then I'll remove the masking fluid and I'll go back in and add some more color. But I just liked so much the way that it looked after just that one layer that I really didn't want to go back in. It just had this very kind of fresh, and I don't know, what's the opposite of overworked? Just, you know, it just looked so, yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but hopefully you can be the judge for yourself. Oh, also you have to be careful because this masking fluid can rip your paper, and it's definitely not something that you want to leave on your paper for more than, you know, probably the minimum amount of time that you need it, because it can damage your paper if you leave it for longer. So I actually did my sketch just before I went to sleep, and then it stayed overnight and was completely dry the next day, so I could work on it. But definitely don't let it stay on your paper longer than you need it to. So you see, I'm just rubbing it not so gently, and yeah, it just takes some time, but I totally just loved how that looked. So I'm moving on to my eraser there from Staedtler. And yeah, it's just something I really think I will do again, because it's one of those things. I think if I hopefully when I make the sequel to my popular watercolor workbook class, I definitely think this would be a lesson in that class, because you need very basic skills, I would say, drawing skills, to create something that, in my opinion, looks fantastic. So yeah, and so much fun to make. You know, you don't really have to worry about where you put your watercolors, or I don't know, shading or that kind of thing. You just drop them in, and because the shape is already there, drawn for you, you get this lovely result with very little effort. And you still can work on shading and, you know, just add some more color or apply the color more pigmented or more saturated color in, for example, like one side of the houses, and then kind of blur it out. So I don't know, to me it kind of reminded me, because I also did my own mixes of watercolors, and there are some really beautiful neutrals here. I usually always go for bright colors, but I do love to play with neutrals, especially when they are paired with bright colors. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Danielle Donaldson look, just because she always has these beautiful watercolor textures and neutrals. She also adds always a lot of water to her watercolors, and yeah, it just looks so dreamy and cute and whimsical. So yeah, that's me working hard to move it around, to move that masking fluid off. So once you remove it, after, first of all, you put the masking fluid, you let it dry, then you add your watercolors, you let them dry, and then you can decide. You can go back in and add another layer of watercolors, for example, if you feel that it needs it, even before you remove the masking fluid. Or you can just remove the masking fluid and move on to some other media. So in my case, I really wanted to add some pencil, just lines and sketches. I have been really enjoying just sketching in the most loosest, is that a word? In the most loose way possible. Just, I don't know, really kind of letting my hand just go and do what it does without thinking about, I don't know, proper drawing. And it's just such a fun and, what's the word I'm looking, freeing, such a fun and freeing experience. And because here it's paired with gorgeous watercolors and watercolor texture, you can't go wrong, I feel. So, yeah, so I'm just adding the pencil lines, and of course you could use color pencils or you could use pen. If you're doing Inktober, then you could definitely use some sort of ink. And yeah, so I was just having fun adding some doodles, and then I think I went back and added some more doodles, adding some weight, adding some very illegible, not legible journaling there. I just like the way that super sketchy handwriting looks, and I just can't tell you how fun this was. This was just super fun. And I definitely want to do this again, probably sketching something else, maybe still rainbows, just because I love rainbows lately. I mean, I've always loved rainbows, but I love painting rainbows, so it just makes me happy. And now I wanted to add some accents in white, and I wanted them to be delicate, so I didn't want to bring my paint pens because they're a little bit thicker. And my two Signo white pens that I was totally in love with, I don't know, they both died on me, and I don't think the ink has run out. They just died on me, which is what happened to me with the first Signo white broad pen that I tried. And I don't know, maybe I should go pick up a few new ones. So this one I'm using is the Sakura Soufflé pen. And it actually goes on clear, and then as it dries, it becomes more white and more opaque. So I wasn't sure what was going on. I kind of forgot about that, and I also had like just a sheer shimmery one, so I thought maybe I was using that, but no, it just needed some time to get opaque. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you will try this. It's super fun, and I wish you a lovely day. Thanks for watching. Bye.